And good evening and welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm your host. This evening's topic is a general overview of what's going on and what's happening in the town of Old Saybrook. With me to discuss this evening's topic is Old Saybrook First Selectman Carl Fortuna. Carl, welcome.
Good to see you again, Pete.
You too. How are you?
I am well.
Good. Thanks for coming down.
Coming off a few snowstorms, we're
I
good.
know. Yeah. We'll talk about snow. So I guess one of the first questions we should talk about tonight is accomplishments and what you've accomplished in the first term and what you've accomplished so far in the second term.
Well, the second term's new.
All right.
As you know.
Right.
But always looking to make the town better. And in the first term, when I came into office, we had about a $250,000 deficit in town hall. Mm-hmm. The prior administration had not correctly budgeted for health care. Okay. So I was looking at an immediate $250,000 deficit, and what we did is we froze our budgets. We were able to get the budget back into balance and actually came out a little bit in the black at the end of the fiscal year. What we did is a bunch of different things. I hired a finance director. You know, that's one of the things I like to talk about the most, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
When the auditors do your audit at the end of the year, they want to see controls, and they want to see revenue control, and they want to see expense control.
Yes.
We did not have that in Old Saybrook, as hard to believe as that may be. Okay. We did not have that. We had a town treasurer, and we had a first selectman. Right. And you have no expense controls when you have that set up. So one of the things I did is we had a retirement in town hall. All right. And for the same amount of money, approximately, I was able to hire Old Saybrook's first finance director. And I've had many people tell me that of all the things I did in the first term, hiring Lisa Carver as the town's first finance director was probably the best thing I did. And I will tell you from my own personal experience, over the course of the first year, I had way more budget problems than I did over the course of my second year, and I attribute a lot of that to Lisa Carver. She just does a wonderful job. Really? She's a certified public accountant. Okay. She's a master's in public administration, and she's a chartered financial advisor, plus she has lots of municipal experience. Okay. In terms of positions, that's probably one of the things we did that was most important. But we've also, with every job, created external panels to when any new hires were ready in Old Saybrook. Right. We had a retirement of our economic development director. Okay. We did a panel of 5. We brought in some outside business people. We had some internal people who participated. We hired new IT. We did a panel. We brought in an outside consultant who did it for free. We hired a WPCA administrator. We had a panel. Okay. And what that has done is brought the cream to the top. Right. We have, in the positions where we've done these external panels, and I want to do it for one position where we just had an announced retirement, I want to do it again, because you need to have the best candidates running town hall. Right. And if I may, go ahead. My theory on local government, I was with a bunch of first selectmen today and mayors. All right. And a lot of people said, what do you think of the 2-year term? To which my response is, and we have a lot of 2-year terms down here on the shoreline. Right. The 2-year term is appropriate when you do not have professional management in town hall. Right. Now, a first selectman can have any type of education, can have any type of work experience. Right. And they can do a lot of damage if it was a 4-year term. With a 2-year term, you can unelect them pretty quickly. Correct. So I am actually in favor, shouldn't touch my microphone. That's okay. I'm actually in favor of the 2-year term, so long as the town is governed by a first selectman. Okay. Coming back to my prior point, though, I think it's very important to have key positions in town hall under professional management, not under the management of he's a good guy, he should get the job. Right. So when you bring in top help professional directors at every level of your town hall, it doesn't, well, I shouldn't say it doesn't matter who the first selectman is. Right. It makes that position a little less important because they can do less damage. if you have the appropriate controls in all your departments. And that is one of the things I've tried the hardest to bring to Town Hall in my first term. We're going to continue it in the second term. Other than that, we did a bunch of other things. The town dock is completed, you know, so we do have some physical improvements in town. We've increased our paving budget. When I took over Town Hall, we were left with a paving budget that wouldn't pave a quarter of a mile. We've increased that so we can start taking care of our roads and sidewalks. And several other things, and I'm sure they will come to me as we can continue our discussion.
That's okay.
But yeah, we worked hard in our first term, and we really tried to show local business owners that we were interested in how they're doing. We tried to respond to all our citizens. I'm on the phone every day talking to a citizen or citizens. I don't let any call go unreturned.
Exactly.
Of course, we've had a couple hurricanes to deal with.
Snowstorms.
And that's another thing that we did that was very important in the first term, even though Hurricane Sandy, we still continue to repair and recover from. Mini golf got rebuilt, largely with FEMA dollars, but 25% from the town. Seawalls in Cornfield Point are being repaired right now. Again, mostly from FEMA dollars, but also 25% town funds, which my administration put in a capital non-recurring account 2 years ago, and thank God we did. Otherwise, we'd be delving into other funds to pay for these repairs.
Now, what is a capital non-recurring account?
Capital
what does it do with?
Yeah. One of the things, actually, it was my last year on the Board of Finance and my first 2 years as first selectman. Capital non-recurring account is an account that I can decide where the money's going to be spent from that account on any capital item that is non-recurring. So it's not going to be roads and sidewalks. Those are recurring. It's typically going to be seawalls, or we need to buy a large truck. We need to buy a new truck to pick up the sand on the roads.
You need a new street sweeper.
Yeah, it can be many, many different things. And what I've done is I have built that account to about $450,000 in 3 years. We're down to about $100,000 now, but only because of the hurricanes. But thank God we had that account. Otherwise, we would have had to go to the taxpayers and ask for a little bit more money, and we didn't have to do that because we did responsible budgeting starting 3 years ago.
Well, that's a beautiful thing.
It's good. When I took over in Old Saybrook, the town, and we were coming out of a recession, so I'm not blaming the former first selectman or the former administration. Many accounts were kept as low as possible. And we were coming out of the recession, and I understand that. As a result, though, we got caught a little bit short in our first 2 years, in my opinion. And I've tried to refund some of our capital accounts to get them where they should be and where people expect them to be.
Exactly. Now with the, I know we're going to we'll talk about this now too, but with the winter weather, how's the town looking with the winter weather budget?
Well, I love when storms don't happen on Sundays because Sundays, according to the union contract, is double time. Okay, and I'm being lighthearted about it.
All right.
We all know you can't control the weather.
Of course.
You know, I don't know when the show will air, but obviously we had a storm over this past weekend.
We did.
Saturday night into Sunday. We had a storm a week ago. We have a storm scheduled for tomorrow as we sit here on whatever date it is, December 16th, or I don't even know what date it is.
It is the 16th.
Okay. So we have another 5 inches of snow coming tomorrow. Look, it's been an abnormally snowy December already. I'm hoping for an abnormally warm January. How's that?
Exactly. All right. You know what? I'll take that.
But, you know, we are sometimes under on our budget. Depending on the year, and over on your budget. And all you can do is take a 3-year moving average and budget that. If you go over, you go over. And you explain that to the taxpayers at your next town meeting.
Exactly.
That's what you do.
Hey, from what I hear, you actually have a new superintendent of schools.
We do. And similar to what I was talking about that never happened on the town side, the school is required to do a search, of course. And they are required to hire a consultant, do panels, do focus groups. And they did that, and I think, and of course, you know, Jan Peruccio is new to the town of Old Saybrook. But I'll tell you, very high marks so far, both internally and from our school parents and students. She seems to be doing a great job, and I know you may have some interest in actually interviewing her at some point.
I actually talked to her the other day.
Yeah, great.
Her and I
She's a wonderful lady,
Yeah.
Easy to get along with,
Definitely.
and not looking to do things as they've been done. Similar to me, I am not looking to do things as they've been done. I want to improve the town. I want the best people to run the town.
Exactly. How about we talk about the
Anything you want.
All right, finance director and economic development director.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about Lisa and the economic development director.
Yeah.
We had Wilma Ash.
Okay.
Wilma, God bless her, was there for 30 years. She retired last June.
All right.
And again, we took about 5 months to hire a new economic development director, Susie Beckman.
Okay.
From Essex. We had great interest in the position. It's a part-time position. It's not a new position. It's the same monies, but we have new energy in that position. And in fact, the first assignment that I've given our economic development director is to help me write a STEEP grant, a small town economic assistance program grant, and perhaps I can get our local state representative and local state senators to help us with that grant. But it's what we want to do is try to revitalize the south end of Main Street along with our police department, which we're going to be building.
Right.
Have a parking lot, a couple bocce courts, and a park. Maybe a dog park.
Really?
That part of town.
All right.
Just to get a little bit more pedestrian traffic down that way.
Okay.
And there is a bit of a dearth of parking down there when the Katharine Hepburn Cultural Arts Center has an event.
Right. Oh, yeah.
A lot of the merchants complain that, and complain might be the wrong word.
Voice their opinion.
They voice their opinion that, hey, there's something going on at the Cape. We need a little bit more parking downtown. So we've designed a lot where the old PD sits, which we're going to tear down, and we plan on putting in a very, I don't know if you could call a parking lot lovely, but we've designed a lovely parking lot. It has a bioswale in the middle instead of all kinds of curbing.
All right.
So we're trying to make it a little bit more green because it does front on Main Street.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Uh-oh.
Your state representative and your state senator for the town of Old Saybrook, who are they?
Well, our state rep, of course, is the wonderful Marilyn Giuliano. And our state senator is Senator Art Linares. Old Saybrook is divided, of course. Senator Andrea Stillman
That's right.
represents part of the town.
That's right.
So
I forgot about the divide.
Old Saybrook is lucky enough to have 3 representatives.
Exactly, and which is always a fun campaign because
and all our state senators and reps are so involved in our towns. We're very lucky.
Good.
Senator Linares has been terrific to us in terms of responding to, and always calling. By the way, he calls whenever there's a snowstorm. How are you guys doing? Can we help? Of course, Marilyn has just been a tireless advocate for the town. So Old Saybrook's very lucky to have the representation they have right now.
They are. Hey, from what I hear from my research that was done for tonight's show, I guess CLNP is giving you guys a grant?
Well, what happened is we had town hall audited for energy.
Okay.
And CLNP had a program where basically they said, okay, it's going to cost $100,000 to retrofit town hall. In other words, better lighting.
Right.
Better motion sensors.
Okay.
So when you walk in the room, if it's winter, the heat might go up 3 degrees. When you walk out and it doesn't sense a person in the room,
It'll drop.
It might go down degrees.
Really?
Right, very interesting stuff. And they're going to
Nice.
redo all the lighting. They're going to put in some LED lighting. And the grant was $52,000.
Okay.
The remaining $48,000 will be paid back in savings off our energy bill. So over the next 3 years. So if our energy bill is $1,500 a month,
Right.
we will pay $1,500 a month for the next 3 years. At that point, it will be reduced. So there's no new money out of the town's coffers, and we retrofit a 10-year-old building that did need some new energy savings, I think.
That building's only 10 years old?
That building's, well, it's about 10 years old.
About
It's
10
about 10 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize it was.
Yeah, well, it's the old Main Street school
Right.
that was renovated. Remember, Town Hall was at the Cape.
That's right. Yeah, then the Cape. That's
not
right.
too long ago, yeah.
I forgot about the town hall.
So
being at the
yeah, we have that going on. In our first term, we also received a $400,000 grant for our elderly senior housing right on Sheffield Street.
Yep.
There's quite a significant population there, and that is income restricted.
Really?
So it's a very important segment of our population to keep them in town.
Exactly.
And we are able to keep some of our seniors who might not be able to afford to live in town.
Okay.
And we're able to keep them in excellent housing. We got a $400,000 grant, and we're going to be able to make some modifications to their housing.
Especially on Sheffield Street, the elderly housing, I guess the senior center is right there.
Right around the
I guess
corner.
there's a walkthrough that can get to.
Yes, I believe there is a
I
walkthrough.
believe there is,
yeah,
but
and
I
very
haven't.
close. It's all downtown. It's important to keep them downtown also.
Exactly. Speaking of downtown, what's going on downtown? Anything
Well,
noteworthy?
Unfortunately, right now, we
All right.
have our big hole, which is North Cove Outfitters. We still haven't found a tenant for North Cove.
Okay.
I'm confident we will in time. One of the, at North Main Street, there's a lot of activity. And if you're ready for me to launch into about 5 minutes worth of activity, we can talk about it.
Let's do it.
Okay. So at the north end of Main Street,
Right.
now, so people have an idea as to where we're talking about. We're talking about where Pizza Works is,
Yep. The train
and From You
station.
Flowers,
Right.
that whole complex.
Yep.
There's a developer that has proposed 186 apartment units there. Some of that is incentive zone housing.
Okay.
So 20% of it will be affordable, 80% will be market.
Okay.
That has basically the apartments going there has been approved.
Aha.
So
They just
it's a
gotta wait
question of whether they go get site approval, which they are going to be applying for soon. 186 units, I am confident if this project goes forward, and I'm not taking a position.
No.
There is some opposition
Okay.
to the project. It's a lot of apartments. But it's basically transit-oriented development housing.
Right.
People can, empty nesters can live there.
Right.
Young professionals can live there.
Right.
You can take the train, go to New Haven, come home, get in your apartment, shop in Old Saybrook, go to our restaurants. So we have that there. We have Ashlawn Coffee that just came into town.
We say we had to talk about them too.
They're, I'll tell you, Carol Adams.
Yeah,
I think,
Carol Adams, sure.
She did I mean,
She did.
it's a beautiful shop on
It
the
is.
inside. So she just came into town, and of course we have other development on the other end of town. But the North Main Street,
Right.
and we'll talk about that other
I was
development.
gonna say we'll go with
but the North Main
uptown
Street,
later.
what's happening there is so exciting because DOT, Department of Transportation,
Right. Yeah.
is planning on putting 200 new
Parking space.
spaces
Yes.
in there. That will probably happen in about a year. So if you have apartment units come in, 200 parking spaces come in, that is going to, number one, keep Amtrak stopping in Old Saybrook, which is very important. I mean, I don't know that everybody realizes how many Amtrak stops are along the shoreline. There's Old Saybrook. It probably goes to New London after that.
It does.
And then I don't know that there's a stop between Old Saybrook and New Haven. So it's nice to have that Amtrak stop
Right.
there. Shoreline East is investing very heavily all along the shoreline.
All right.
They're investing in Clinton, Westbrook, and all their train stations. That end of Main Street could be a super hub of activity. and could really serve to revitalize and put more boots on the ground, so to speak, on our Main Street. Because we all know it's very difficult to support retail in an environment of Amazon.com.
That's right.
And we all do the internet shopping, but it's so important to have those local retailers on Main Street.
Exactly.
And let's face it, we all want to go to the local hardware store when you need nails or when you need a hammer.
Right.
And you want to be able to shop for a quick gift.
Right.
And if you don't support that local retail, what does Main Street become? It becomes lawyers, it becomes real estate offices, it becomes professional buildings, and that's not what you want.
Definitely
you want
not.
activity, you want restaurants, you want shops.
Exactly.
So I'm very hopeful for Main Street and North Main Street really getting connected. And there should be a lot of activity in the next year.
Exactly. All right, we now went down Main Street. How about we go uptown a little bit and talk about...
We go to the west part of town.
Yeah, let's go to the west part of town, see what's going on there.
A development that's been under consideration for a very long time. The former administration dealt with it for quite a while, starting in 2004.
All right.
Ron Lyman developing on Spencer Plain Road a Big Y shop, Big Y grocery store, and a Kohl's department store. That development, when the world went boom in 2008, fell through. Big Y pulled out. No one was investing money. There was no financing available.
Right.
That project has been resurrected.
Yes, it has.
And I will tell you that while it's easy to say they would have done it no matter what, our Board of Selectmen, we called town meetings, we called special Board of Selectmen meetings. We were very accommodating to that developer because I feel that is a critical development in town. Number one, it's more retail.
It is.
Number one, it's in a very favorable area of town. It's easy on, easy off from I-95.
Right.
And it's on a plot of land that is not environmentally sensitive. It's basically almost infill as opposed to ripping down a bunch of trees and doing new development.
Exactly.
What I think that will also do is perhaps revitalize that whole end of town. There are a couple stores over there that look a little tired.
Right.
And I'm hopeful that with the West Marine, Kohl's, Big Y's, all that money coming into that end of town, I'm very hopeful that there will be additional investment in that part of town. In addition to the Big Y and Kohl's, which, by the way, will throw off a fair bit of revenue for the town next year.
All right.
We will start realizing that revenue in the next fiscal year, which is 2014-15. Those buildings are scheduled to come out of the ground in March of 14. They're doing a lot of site work right now. In fact, CL&P and AT&T, I have to make some calls. They have to move some poles and do a few things. But I anticipate that they will be coming out of the ground with their buildings in March, and that those buildings should be complete in September or October. So the town should should realize about 3/4 of a year's worth of tax revenue from those buildings. So I think it's. I haven't heard too many people say they don't like that development.
Right.
One thing when I was campaigning, and one thing I hear a lot when I go to events, people want another grocery store in town.
Right.
They want a choice.
Right.
And they'd like to have that choice in Old Saybrook as opposed to having to go over the bridge to Old Lyme.
Old Lyme, exactly, because the only grocery store you have in Saybrook is Stop and Shop. Or Walmart, but they're pretty much.
And by the way,
they're limited.
Stop Walmart. Yeah, it doesn't sell a lot of food,
they're limited
but they
on
sell
the
some
groceries,
food.
right?
But by the way, Stop and Shop's a wonderful tenant.
Yeah, definitely.
They do a great job, and I think the coming competition has already sharpened their edge a little bit. I think they have excellent products, and I think they're increasing the amount of products that they're selling, natural food products, a lot of new products, and I've noticed that. So I think Stop and Shop is going to be a better store as a result of the Big Y.
Exactly, and Big Y's a great store.
Yeah, it is.
If you want to go to
Of course,
Big
a lot of people, over the last year. We want a Trader Joe's. We want,
No.
we want. And I do too. And when North Cove closed, I cold called Trader Joe's and Stu Leonard's to see if they would be interested in that space.
Right.
The problem with the shoreline, and for your viewers, they may or may not know this, but when a lot of these big department stores or grocery stores look at a town like Old Saybrook, they see 180 degrees of water along the shoreline.
Right.
They don't see a circumference, a 360-degree circumference, I think that's the word, where you can draw from. They only see I-95 east-west and north. That you don't go south because you go into Long Island Sound.
Exactly.
So that apparently deters some development from coming into town.
What do you think they're going to do with the North Cove Outfitters?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. I've been in touch. In fact, I talked to the realtor. I talk to him probably once a month, and I say, Tim, what's going on? What are you going to get me in there? I don't know.
All right.
It's a big space. It's really not restaurant space.
No, it's not.
Unless you cut it up. It's 15,000 square feet, so it's quite large.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's got to be retail of some sort, probably, maybe mixed use with a restaurant. I don't know.
Speaking of retail space, and this is going to be before we say goodnight and wrap up, I saw that Vanderbrook's reopened in Saybrook.
I haven't been in yet.
I haven't been in yet either. I drove by it the other day.
And I wish them the best.
Yes,
I'm
definitely.
going to make it a point to go in there.
Definitely.
We now have 3 wonderful bakeries in town. We have Dagmar's, Pursuit of Pastry, and now Vanderbrook. So if you need your pastry, you can come to Old Saybrook.
Or if you need a cup of coffee, you can come to Old Saybrook.
Yeah, my God, we have enough coffee. We have Starbucks and we have Ashlon.
Exactly.
And of course, I tend to go to Dunkin' Donuts now and then too.
Shame on you.
Yeah, well, I do. I frequent them all.
Shame on you. All right, before we wrap up and say goodnight, I actually just wanted to thank you for coming down. Hopefully you'll come down again.
It's my pleasure. I love coming on with you.
All right.
Okay?
All right, Carl Fortuna, First Selectman of the town of Saybrook. Thanks.
Thank you.
On behalf of Carl, I'm Peter. Thanks, good night, and we'll see you next week.